Professor Wei, thanks for your time. What kind of Chinese companies now are interested in going abroad, and any new trends this year?
There are several different categories of Chinese firms that are very interested in going abroad. There are Chinese companies, they are very strong, very competitive, but they want to set up factories abroad to be closer to the market. By being closer to the market, you can get the final product price to be lower. There are also companies that are experiencing declining competitiveness if they choose to stay at home. Precisely because China has been growing so fast, wage rate has been growing very fast. Therefore, those firms that produce labor-intensive product, labor cost is a big part of the overall production cost. Those products are no longer competitive when compared to similar products produced in Bangladesh, Vietnam, and India, because those countries have much lower wage rate. For those Chinese firms, one way to maintain their competitiveness is by moving their factories to those countries that have much lower labor costs. You can take advantage of cheap labor locally, together with better management, better technology of the Chinese companies. This combination allows those firms to maintain their global competitiveness. So that's another reason to go abroad.
Companies from which industries tend to go abroad currently, and what are the most desired destinations?
So these two examples I give you correspond to very different industries. So the example of a firm in the first industry will include electric vehicle companies, right? So BYD, Geely, and so on. These are globally very competitive firms. And they want to move to where the market is, just in order to save transportation cost. Sometimes it's to comply with local regulation. Many countries are worried about competition from Chinese firms that will cause job losses in their home. If you come to set up factories, they welcome you. So some of the European countries are in that categories. And then there will be companies that are in labor-intensive sectors, textile, garment, toy making, plastics, equipment making, and so on. I should mention there are also service sector companies, modern service sector companies. You can be company providing cross-border digital payment, software services. They go where other Chinese companies go.
We see companies have been talking about going abroad, expanding their business abroad for quite a while now. But this year, any interesting trends you've witnessed?
There are perhaps two relatively new elements. One is some of the overseas economies are doing relatively well. The other is the geopolitics. So many of the foreign countries are erecting politics-motivated trade barriers. So, U.S., for example, say we don't want to see certain products coming from China directly. One way to respond to that kind of geopolitical factor is to set up factories in third countries.
I assume you've been working with a lot of companies, a lot of Chinese companies who plan to go abroad. Are you now traveling more frequently to overseas countries?
I travel quite a bit, not just for talking to companies, but including visiting companies, talking to companies as well. Yeah.
What are the most frequently asked questions currently?
Well, there are questions asked by the companies. There are also questions asked by the host countries. Companies want to know, what exactly are the opportunities? How does a particular host country work, right? So what are the unknown risks? Other countries are also trying to figure out appropriate policies. Many countries tend to think that importing from China or welcoming Chinese firms to invest in their country is more beneficial than buying products directly from China, because buying product directly from China often means displacing their domestic firms, creating job losses for them. Whereas welcoming Chinese firms to their country means creation of jobs, and that's good for them. So many governments take that kind of views. There are exceptions. At the moment, the United States is the one exception. So they are much less receptive to Chinese companies going to US than 30 years ago, when their view towards Japanese firms were more receptive. But there are plenty of countries in the world they are generally welcoming foreign firms coming to their countries. So there are a lot of opportunities from that point of view.
So when do you think we can start to see more Chinese companies be large multinationals?
We're already seeing many very large multinational firms. We're going to see more for sure. Yeah.
Like in the next decade?
Sure. By the end of next decade, we're going to see many globally large, well-known Chinese companies.
Professor Wei, thanks for your time.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.